what would be the key forestry issues in Mozambique that the different stakeholders might be interested in discussing. And one of those issues that I identified was the issue of rights, community rights.
Let's do that again. The issue of rights and community.
Yeah. I mean, the issue of rights, and I'm talking specifically about the community rights to natural resources, in particular to forests, vis-a-vis the fact that the community is not the only player. There is the private sector, which has a big role in harvesting forest products in Mozambique. But the legislation indicates that both the private sector and the communities can have access to productive resources. But when we look in the reality, we don't see, as of today, many forest concessions that belong to the communities. And I wanted us to reflect on the reasons why that's not happening, and maybe to see how the partnerships between the different institutions could help the communities to manage productive resources, not to be limited to the multiple use areas where we have forest products which are more like, the charcoal has a big value, but not as big as timber that is exported to Asia and other places. So I thought that will be an issue to be discussed. The second one identified was related to the overall community-based natural resource management strategy that the country has approved in 1997 in its policy, and then it was regulated by the law in 1999, and then the regulation in 2002. Which really gives back the rights to the local communities in order to promote sustainable use of natural resources, so that people could stop using, for example, wildfires to do agriculture, or to hunt rabbits or rats, wild animals, and in the process burning large areas of forests. And also to try and find alternative to the slash and burning, which is the practice for agriculture. So in order to engage those communities, the government decided, well, let's give the control of the resources to the local communities and see how they can sustainably manage those resources and generate benefits, economic benefits. So, but what we have been seeing so far is that the country has evolved from an initial stage that in 1998 we had only 32 community-based natural resource management in the very initial stage of implementation, to around 68 projects according to the last survey done by the National Directorate of Forests and Lands in 2006. But when you look back, you see that most of those projects are no longer there in terms of sustainability. They are no longer there because they were supported by the government, by NGOs to secure, land rights, to secure forest rights, and do forest inventories, management plans, identify different alternatives of generating income. And even they benefited from capacity building, to explore the different opportunities for adding value into the resources. But the reason that those projects are no longer there is mainly to do with the sustainability. How the communities, by the time the external facilitators left, the projects would have been really capable of gaining the necessary capacity to carry on. For example, knowing where to get the extension services if they needed them, to improve any technical aspects of beekeeping, for example, to know how to get a small project to access credit. So they were left without those instruments to make them carry on exploiting the different opportunities in a productive and sustainable manner. So I thought that this needs a reflection. Where did we go wrong? Both government, or I should say all government, the private sector, the NGOs, the communities. Where did we get it wrong so that the community-based natural resource management is not sustainable? Maybe the response here is that we didn't develop as much the small and medium enterprises so that, those will be consolidated, initiatives to continue. But then if that's where we missed it, we should look at why and how we can make up to that in order to really produce a positive impact on the well-being of the people and also on the sustainability of natural resources. So that was the second area that I thought we should reflect on.